I was a dumbass, voted for Trump. It was the worst decision I ever made.
I've seen the light, and I got out of MAGA. A lot of us there have seen the light. We have deep regrets.
I feel guilty because I voted for Trump twice. I feel very guilty because I feel responsible. That's why he's still running.
I used to be a MAGA Republican, and now I've turned blue.
The Wall Street Journal yesterday spoke with Trump voters who just 1 month in say they are now horrified by what they helped cause when they voted for Trump. When we said safer borders, I thought he was thinking, let's stop the drugs from coming into the country. I didn't know he was going to start raiding places. She said she didn't believe he would actually follow through on some of the more hardline policies he touted during the campaign. The 49-year-old Omaha, Nebraska resident said, quote, "Now I'm like, dang, why didn't I just pick Kamala?"
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Rachel Maddow laid it all out in a new segment that should have every Republican in America sweating. She broke down the chaos unfolding in Virginia as Trump's mass firings ripped through federal agencies, devastating one of the biggest government workforces in the country.
Emily Anderson from Duluth, Minnesota, categorizes her vote for Trump this year as the, quote, biggest mistake of my life. She is horrified by Trump's focus on deportations and use of Guantanamo Bay to hold migrants. She says that Trump has been too focused on, quote, ridiculous, flashy moves such as banning paper straws and renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Thousands of people waking up to pink slips as Donald Trump purges the federal government. And what's Governor Glenn Youngkin doing about it? That's where it gets even worse.
Governor Glenn Youngkin said today that the state is preparing an aid package for Virginians losing their jobs in the Trump administration's gutting of the federal workforce. But he said the cuts are necessary. But Youngkin defended the Trump administration's actions, which disproportionately affect Virginia as one of the top states in the country for federal employment and spending, with more than 140,000 federal workers.
Maddow didn't just expose the mass layoffs. She exposed Youngkin's pathetic response to it. The man had to get up in front of reporters and pretend to have a plan. But when pressed for details, all he had was a word salad of nothing. So let's get this straight. Trump is gutting thousands of Virginia jobs, and the Republican governor's response is he supports the layoffs, he feels bad about them, he might do something about it someday. Pathetic. Maddow called out Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, now begging for tribal communities to be spared. Chuck Grassley in Iowa suddenly worried about Iowa's farmers getting crushed by tariffs. Maria Elvira Salazar in Florida pleading for Donald Trump to spare some of the immigrants in her state from mass deportations. Susan Collins in Maine trying to shield her state's universities from Trump's budget cuts because if they get hit, it's going to be devastating. And now they're out here begging for special treatment. Please, Mr. Trump, don't wreck my state, wreck someone else's.
Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska asking for exemptions to Trump's cuts and actions, specifically for Indian tribes in Alaska. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa asking for an exemption for Iowa farmers to the tariffs on Canada. Republican Florida Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar asking for an exemption to the indiscriminate deportation policies. Republican Senator Katie Britt asking for an exemption on the massive cuts to scientific and medical research, saying, you couldn't possibly mean Alabama for those cuts, could you? Not Alabama. You want these cuts elsewhere, right? Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine saying the same thing, saying surely those cuts don't apply to the universities and labs in Maine. She said if it applies to the ones in Maine, that would be, quote, devastating.
Yeah. They thought that they were safe, that Donald Trump's destruction would only hit Democrats, blue states, and faceless bureaucrats in D.C. But now the reality is sinking in. Trump is an equal opportunity destroyer, and they have no plan, none, on how to deal with it. And here's the thing. Maddow made clear, if we still have a functioning political process, this will matter. Because when an authoritarian starts losing support from inside his own movement, when even his most devoted followers start suffering the consequences, that's when things start to crack. Republicans thought that they were signing up for a war against the deep state. Instead, they signed up for a war against their own voters. And now, with Virginia's elections just a few months away, they have to figure out how to sell this disaster to people watching their jobs disappear. Because when your own governor is standing at a press conference mumbling about an aid package that doesn't exist, When your Republican senator is on TV begging for exemptions, and when you're suddenly realizing that Trump doesn't care about you any more than he cares about the deep state, well, let's just say people might finally start waking up. And when they do, it's not going to be pretty. The regret is real, and it's hitting them like a brick wall. Leaving MAGA is trending, and the clips keep rolling in. Lifelong Trump supporters, business owners, diehard Republicans, now openly admitting that they were conned. One after another, they're confessing their regret. I did it because I was stupid as hell. Biggest mistake of my life. We thought this was good for business, but we were wrong. That's the entire wave of MAGA voters waking up and realizing that Donald Trump wasn't some economic savior. He was just another con man running a scam. And the irony, the very policies they cheered for are now wrecking their lives. One guy from Florida is furious that Trump's economic policies are destroying his small business. And then there's the real kicker, a veteran at a Walgreens pharmacy finding out in real time that his VA benefits might be gone. His Social Security is under attack, and his own party is the one trying to destroy his safety net. And what does he do? He stands there stunned, like it's the first time he's ever heard this. Like he had no idea that Donald Trump has been openly talking about cutting VA funding and gutting Social Security for years. This is what happens when your entire worldview is based on Fox News sound bites instead of reality. Yeah, these people spent years screaming about the migrant crisis, the deep state, and woke culture. But now they're getting smacked in the face with actual consequences. They thought that they were punishing liberals. They ended up punishing themselves. And the best part? They know it. You can hear it in their voices, that creeping realization that they've been played too little, too late. If you want to talk about government waste, start with Elon Musk's fat defense contracts at the Pentagon. That's a fact. While Republicans are out here crying about budget cuts, Musk is raking in billions in taxpayer dollars for Starlink, SpaceX, for his government-funded Cybertrucks that look like Hot Wheels rejects, and somehow nobody on the right wants to call that welfare. And let's talk a little bit about how he got away with this. Because Musk didn't just eliminate government waste. He eliminated the agencies that could hold him accountable. First on the chopping block, USAID, NOAA, and the VA. The very people who track corruption, fight fraud, and ensure veterans get their benefits. Gone. And why? Because Musk and his billionaire buddies don't want watchdogs. They want lapdogs. Trump is gutting every protection the middle class had left and handing the country to the billionaires who don't give a damn about you, never have, never will. But here's the thing. This is what you voted for. Your pastors, your MAGA cult leaders, your right-wing media grifters all told you that this was the right path, and you ate it up. You mocked us when we warned you. You laughed while your party gutted democracy. And now that your own jobs, your own benefits, your own security are on the chopping block, now you want sympathy. You can't find it in a dictionary, but once again, you can between and syphilis. Your 401ks are about to do a nosedive. Your rural hospitals will close. Your farms will go under. Your kids' school will lose funding. Your VA benefits are on the chopping block. Your Social Security is next, and you're going to be standing there, spinning around like a chicken with its head cut off, wondering what the hell happened. Well, let me remind you, this is all you're doing, every last bit of it. You stood by while Donald Trump ran his mouth about cutting government jobs. Well, guess what? Those jobs were your neighbors, your family, maybe even yours. You laughed when Donald Trump promised to punish blue states. Now he's coming for red states too. This isn't just bad politics. This is karma. You made your bed, and now you're going to have to sleep in it. And let me be clear, none of us wanted this. None of us wanted to see America ripped apart, jobs lost, families struggling, veterans left out in the cold. But you wouldn't listen. You doubled down. You believed the con artist. So now, in some cases, grab the popcorn, because it's going to be epic watching you melt down, realizing that you are not special, you are not immune, and Trump doesn't give a damn about you. You effed around, and now you're in the find out stage, and that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.